You think auto transport fraud is being managed? Why isn't there a 24/7 load board fraud hotline? How about a big button on the mobile app that says, report theft now? Why are you praying your car gets picked up and delivered? How many exotic supercars need to get stolen before meaningful change happens? Let's talk about why scammers are winning the load board fraud war. Please say hello, share your feedback, hang on tight, and learn from the best on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, where, I don't know, there's still a show or some kind of thing. Yeah, I've been making this show, hitting these buttons for so long. I'm not even sure why we're still doing it. I think because, like, a lot of the content that has existed in this industry, it has just dropped off because it's pointless. Like, what's the point? Why continue to make a podcast when you can just, like a LinkedIn post and get on with your, singular focus of money. All right, there I said. All right. So that is why, dude, scammers are winning the fraud war. You can make, you can have webinars about it and talk about it and do shows and have podcasts and high five and fly around the country and have golf course parties and all this stuff. But dude, they are focused on winning a fraud war, and they're going to do it. And I say these things like get to know your ecosystem, but come on. I mean, really. And you know why nobody cares? By the way, Sue will be here at some point. John Larick is joining us today. And, do whatever you got to do. Skip ahead. Don't tune in. It really doesn't matter. I'm just making the shows, to keep my chops up for other things I'm working on now. Because in the automotive industry, nobody cares what your problems are. Stop telling us your problems. We have money to count. No, don't get to know your ecosystem. They don't care what your problems are. They don't care. They have enough problems of their own. They're this close to losing their jobs and moving over to one of those other companies that they said they were competing for. Do you know how many people in automotive are just job hopping to hang on to sanity until AI takes it all? It's a lot. It's crazy. And we are the neutral zone. We will always be the only neutral zone, talking about this crap. Which, you can see Rob Carpenter does a great job sharing videos, rate the strap work. It's entertainment at this point because it's not going to get fixed. I mean, actually, this was legal. I think we have a story about it. Okay. So you got, yeah. Right? And what I really love is that, like, okay, so you have like Auto Haulers Association of America. And they obviously this shit drives them crazy. Has to. But it's never gonna stop, and at a certain point you've just gotta duck and cover and protect, the area around your cave hole. And beyond that, just can't worry about it. Arizona trooper spots commercial vehicle hauling SUV in a very unusual way, right? I mean, it looks pretty bad. Upon closer look, he discovered that the semi-truck hauling a tank-like bed that was loaded in a very unusual way. 2 SUVs. Commercial vehicle inspector responded to the scene, determined the minimum tie-down requirements had in fact been met for the load. Yeah, it's legal. You're good. Moving along. That's awesome. Okay, so I got a Gmail. Monthly rules refresher. Due to recent issues where driver did not follow the rules protocol, we're sending out a copy. Like, this is all the time. Because this isn't an industry based on, you know, like work or I don't know what it's based on. It's based on, you know, bottom of the barrel subcontracting. You really do, again, going back to AHA. And I guess it's too bad that AHA didn't early on see the potential in ATI. It just didn't happen. But again, I didn't understand that it was like gangs of New York, just protect your area and who cares about everything else? You can't fix it. With such high driver turnover, because rates are so low when you subcontract, working for brokers or dealers, that you're just getting hammered and you go out of business, and then the new guy, he doesn't know the rules either. So, all right, let's go through the memo. It's just great. We need to be we need to be notified as soon as you deliver. That's not, so the customer's like, that what do you mean? That's not happening? Customer expects updates immediately. Send an email with the load ID and delivery date as soon as you deliver. I love it when they repeat in all caps, because you know that means nobody's reading this. If you cannot email us, by the way, that really emailing? Isn't it 2025? I'm getting ads that teenagers are getting rich with AI in their basement, and here we're hoping you email me. Okay. You don't have a mobile app? Whatever. Best practice to ensure we know that you have loaded is to send a signed and dated copy of your load sheet by carrier pigeon before you leave the yard. Send a signed and dated, so take a photo and then attach it to an email and then fax it. If we do not receive a load sheet, we will not know you picked up. Again, perfect time for a mobile app. And the scammer, if a scammer gets a hold of this email, are you kidding? The scammer's like, oh, this is the best. If you need to make an update to the load in any way, we need an email with the load ID. Oh my gosh. What are they using? Lincoln Logs? If you are delayed and will miss pickup, we need to know before pickup. Email or fax. Here's our beeper. Oh my God. This is scammer heaven. Now, I wanted to ask Sue if smart load matching is reshaping carrier operations. This is another reason why, like, I have lost hope with, like, automotive media news. Because, like, okay, I don't know if this is new information or actual information or just speculative marketing. Smart load matching uses AI. Do we have smart load matching? Or is this a will use AI? Machine learning and historical behavior data recommends loads tailored to a carrier's specific routes. As far as I know, you still have to search for loads. But tailored to a carrier's specific routes, equipment, and pricing preferences, it's designed to replace the time-consuming process of browsing load boards and calling brokers. I agree. This is down the road, but does it exist now? All right. Former employee charged with embezzling $166,000 from Auto Transport Trucking Company. Now, I don't have the date on this article, but I want to say it's this year. Former employee charged with embezzling $166,000? Dang! That's a lot of money in auto transport. Of an employee. How does an employee get near $166K? A former trucking company employee is facing felony charges for allegedly using peer-to-peer apps to steal customer payments from his employer. Okay, this guy, 45, arraigned at a district court in Michigan, 6 felony charges. 1 count of embezzlement more than 100 grand. That's a 20-year felony. Wow. 1 count of embezzlement more than 50 grand but less than 100 grand. 15-year felony. Dang, that's as much as P. Diddy could get. You may as well had freak-offs, dude. 1 count of embezzlement more than $1,000 but less than 20 grand. So they got him with all... They got him with the 10. They got him with the 1 to 20, the 50 to 100, and the over 100, just to be safe. 3 corresponding counts of using a computer to commit a crime. He was accused of embezzling more than $166,000 from his former employer, Montway. That's how you get to 166. Think about it. How did he get to 166? Well, one might argue because they charge so much per car. And he loved working there so much, he went ahead with it. Hey, this is out of transport. This is ATI. Again, we're the only neutral zone. You know what to expect. In 2020 and in 2021 and 2022, while working for that company, he offered customers unauthorized discounts if they paid him directly through peer-to-peer mobile. Then he kept those payments for personal use. It was referred to the Attorney General by the FBI. Ooh, the FBI got involved. Well, welcome to Auto Transport. You can do whatever you want. I mean, you really can. Just do whatever you want. Fake car dealer websites are scamming millions. Wow, Tim Smith never imagined strangers. You know what? We're gonna get into the fraud. Let's bring in John. Hey, John. John, you ready to join the show? Let's talk some fraud here. Let's do this. I was talking to John, and we were talking about, why do so many businesses have to pray that their car gets there? Here we go. Let's do this. I'm going to run Sue's ad. Stick around. It's a short ad. It's really not a big deal. We'll be right back after this.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Murphy Auto Transport Services. Are you looking for a dispatcher or a fully licensed broker, a company that does care? Murphy Auto Transport Services. Sue is usually here. She's actually in the middle of, she's handling another issue. So, because she does that. She personally gets involved and makes sure things do get taken care of and that things are above board. So, if you're looking for that, talk to Sue. Do me a favor, wish me a warm welcome to John Larick. Welcome to ATI Auto Business Industry Logistics. John.
Welcome, everybody. I'm here.
All right, so you're here. John, do us a favor. Say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm John. My last name's Larick. Larick's Towing Incorporated. We're a auto transport company out of New Jersey, and I've been in business for 45 years.
Earlier when I said Auto Haulers Association of America.
I heard that. Yeah.
Exactly. And the only reason I say that is that is that association in auto transport that seems like they're at a different level, right?
Right.
You're talking fleet carrier organizations, businesses that have been in business for decades, run a lot of trucks. This isn't the onesie twosies running around, getting in business, going out of business, getting in business, going out of business. You're in the fleet category. And right?
Right, I'm in the fleet, but I also do a lot of POVs too. So where a lot of
That's
the other companies, like our friends, they just do dealer work. We do a lot of other work.
and within, and I'm glad you said that. Within being a fleet, the reason I'm drawing this, because I think that this is where,
Sorry.
just like in trucking, we know the names of a lot of companies like Knight and Swift, and these are larger businesses that operate at a different level than an owner operator. Now, truth is, the industry is a lot of owner operators, individuals running their own equipment, and I'm laying this out because you've seen it all, right?
I think I have, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's part of the AHA pedigree, is folks with AHA pretty much have seen it all and continue to see surprising things. And that they see is kind of a dark side of the industry where, gosh, we can't fix it. It can't all be fixed.
No, not at all.
It can't be.
No, because it's just the way it goes, and it's out of your control sometimes.
And so this is why I said, like, so when you have a territory, you have a business, you try to make sure those things run well, and beyond that, who knows?
Yes.
But that becomes a problem too, because some clients are going to have vehicle moves that are outside of your control, and now you are praying that your car gets there.
Right, and that's what happens with our end of it. Like we don't do a lot of POVs as far as well, not a broker, but we have to have our broker authority to give out a car to another transporter. So what ends up happening is we have Florida cars and stuff like that, a lot of snowbird work that we do, where we can't get them all on our truck. So we'll take them and we'll actually put them on a dispatch board, and we'll give them to a transporter. But it's tough. It's tough because you got a reputation of your own business, which you're always on time. You talk to the customers. The customers know where the cars are. They know where we are. So they don't see any problems. When we give it to somebody else, that's when we see all the problems.
So I want to say this for anybody that doesn't know. So POV, privately owned vehicle, those are customer moves, people, regular people.
Right.
Or it could be business, relocation, snowbirds, which is the New York to Florida, Florida to New York. And, well, there's other types of snowbirds, but that's your traditional snowbird on the East Coast. Dealer moves, auction moves, new car, OEM. And I'm just saying those things because
A lot of it comes down to military moves.
Military,
it comes
yep.
down to kids.
That's POV.
College students.
College students is POV.
Right.
What talking about these different verticals, types of moves, which ones do you think are the most unpredictable? Is it the POV?
Oh yes, definitely. There's a lot more involved than just going to a dealership, picking up the car and delivering it, to an auction.
What's interesting, I'm going to go back to my news here for a second, because you know, even though POV is the most unpredictable, I saw this, I'm like, oh my gosh. So really the dealer space contains plenty of fraud too. This story is about how, like, hundreds of people duped by fraudsters in Romania that created a fake dealer website that impersonated a business and created fake listings of cars for sale. It's hard to believe how many people would fall for that. But they did. It's called dealership cloning.
So
And
I
starts
think,
with
I think what was happening there, Jay, is I think what was happening is they were probably trying to get deposits in everybody on vehicles that weren't there, and they were just taking the money then because, I mean, why would you? I mean, I can understand how they're doing it. It probably worked, but it's the old saying, like you see it on Facebook all the time, where these sites are up there. You can buy something for half the price and you never get it.
And I suppose, I mean, COVID, online purchasing, we buy on Amazon all the time or eBay or whatever. I guess we're used to just, yeah, we're shopping online. But when you're dealing with a car, well, you might want to see it, talk to somebody, or something.
Well, you've made everybody pretty much aware of the fraud that's going on too, with what's happening with taking a car off the load board and somebody else seeing it and rebrokering it, or going in and picking the car up from the dealer. I mean, you're probably the only one that's letting the public know what's going on with that, and it's happening all the time. They're stealing cars like crazy. So I mean, you got to be careful.
Well, what's interesting is, thank you for that. What I see is, I still see large organizations focused on just talking about how great everything is. It's really not a problem. We're handling it. I think it's but there are also then companies that they lose a car. I think that I literally think every dealer or brokerage is going to have a car stolen to feel like they got to do more than attend a webinar that says everything's okay. Because what we're doing here, I mean, this isn't popular. I got this email the other day. Do you remember these emails? Hey, I can put you in my will. I don't know. I need serious treatment. I'll put you in my will. I've got $2 million in a metal box. I literally got this email like last week. So this must still be working. These primitive scams are still working. So, gosh, think of the complex scams that are working now. 2 supercars disappear. Have you seen? Well, let me ask you this: what have you seen? Have you seen any fraud like close to you where it was a load that was stolen, or what? Can you talk? And I know also, here's what I also know. One of the other reasons why scammers are winning the fraud war is because it's a negative to talk about it. It's a negative if you report to your insurance company. If you get defrauded, you'll do whatever you can do not to have to talk about it because it makes your company look bad. But it's become so common that companies have to report it. They have to talk about it.
Right.
What would you say?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm not seeing, knock on wood, we haven't seen any cars stolen yet. The problem that we're having is that we would broker out a car and it will be given to a transporter, but then that transporter doesn't show up. He has somebody else pick that vehicle up for him. So it's gotten to the point now where they come, we have to walk out, we have to check, we have to make sure that they're who they say they are. Now, I've heard of some other companies that are saying, we're going to walk outside, we're going to take a picture of your truck, we want a copy of your license and everything, just to make sure, because once they take that vehicle, we're sitting here saying, wow, we just gave this guy this car, and we don't know if it got there until the customer calls us as if it's got there, and when you fill out the dispatch sheet and you put it on and you give them the contract, it says you're supposed to deliver by such and such a date. And I'm being honest with you, 80% of the time it's not there. It's not there when they say it's going to be there. But we don't know where the vehicle is. I mean, the only other way to solve that problem was probably put, a tracker or something in the vehicle and tell the customer to send it back to us. I mean, we've been talking about doing that now.
So I'm going to ask you this. How did you get the transporter? How did that transporter get connected to your load?
Unfortunately, we have to go through, CD a lot because that's primarily where we get the phone calls on who can move the vehicle for us.
CD being
Central Dispatch.
Central Dispatch.
Yeah.
So right now somebody's going to say, well, geez, Jay, we knew where you were headed. It was so obvious. Well, all right. It's almost always Central Dispatch, right? Isn't that the main load board where most people do business?
For us, yeah. I mean, because we're not a regular broker. So we're not, we don't have our own broker board or anything out there. So when we do get these vehicles, we just need to get it moved. And unfortunately, that's where the phone rings. It does ring when we post it.
Well, and I'll tell you, I really do believe, man, I watch, I measure, and I really feel like some of those other broker boards, like a company like a Certus, their board has not gone to the heights I think they had hoped.
Right.
Right. They post their loads on Central, right? Don't they?
I believe they do on their overflow. I know they have a lot of times.
Haven't, right. And they may have a delayed, and I'm speculating. I haven't studied it in the past week. But it seems to me that if you look at Central Dispatch, most roads from other load boards lead back to Central anyways. Or Super.
Right. Which we've been looking into Super too. So, I mean.
Well, and the problem there is, now that Super has raised their prices, many companies feel like they have to choose between Central or Super because they can't afford to do both.
Both, exactly.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. I mean,
right.
How many people are you going to pay to, post a car?
And that benefits Central, doesn't it? If you got to pick one.
Only because the volume's there. I mean, you look at how many.
There you go.
We know.
The volume is there.
We know.
All right.
We know from experience that when we post a car, the phone just blows up.
There you go. All right. The phone blows up. You post a car on Central, the phone blows up. When you say the phone blows up, what do you mean?
Well, we start to get people that want to claim that car. So, and, now we have to start negotiating with all the transporters that are calling in. We want to find out if they have the right insurance, which we have to. When they're going to pick it up, they're going to pick it up on time. They're going to deliver it on time, which they always tell us they're going to do that. And then the process goes from there. We have to call them. They have to contact their insurance company. They got to get a certificate of insurance, naming us. So their insurance company has to send it to us, and then we have to check and make sure they have enough coverage.
You had to do some homework there.
Yes.
You had to do, yeah. And we also know you're busy, and I respect your time, and I thank you for taking the time to come on. This is a really important topic.
Right.
And if you need to go, you let me know, okay?
No, it's fine. It's just,
all right, cool.
We're working here.
This is cool. We are working. This is work. I know. Hard to believe. You had to do some homework there. Why couldn't you just rely on the load board for those things to be vetted and fine? Why did you have to do additional homework?
We're finding out that we can get the information from them, but we don't feel that that's good enough. Because they could have had insurance, but they lost it the day before. Or they just don't have enough coverage. I mean, somebody comes in there with a 9 car, and he's only got $100,000 worth of cargo on his truck. If something happens to our car, it's not going to be covered. We know it's not going to be covered. But if they come in with a wedge, and they got $150,000 worth of coverage, we're willing to take the chance at that point.
So it sounds to me you've already raised 2 flags of where you really have to do your own due diligence. You got guys taking loads that are then going to send somebody else. You've got carriers calling in to get loads that you have to check on yourself to verify. And then, one can say, well, that's fine. But again, aren't you're paying monthly to this load board to get loads picked up? Wouldn't you hope that the load board was able to to ratchet up their level of security so you didn't have to feel. And I'm not trying to put you in. You don't even have to answer. Don't answer. Because I know the answer. And everybody out there knows the answer.
Right.
This is actually the problem, and why this channel tanks is because nobody wants to talk about this. But everybody feels the same way. All 2 people in the live chat. We're all so scared of trying to figure out how to talk about the fact that we got this number 1 load board that almost nobody really trusts. They go there to do business, but they gotta always have a brass knuckles ready to go, right? You got a pipe in your pocket, and you just have to constantly watch out. You have to watch your back. Why?
I don't think it's all their fault, though, Jay. I think it is.
I'm glad you said that.
I know
that's an important thing to say.
People. We know they've vented their people because we're also a transporter, and we'll use their load board to get work when we have to do fill-ins. So they would not let us broker a car under our company. So we had to go out and start our own broker authority just to be able to broker cars. So they are doing that end of it. I want everybody to know that they're doing that end of it. But I think when it comes down to the way that everybody's rated, I don't think that their rating system works the way it should.
Now, that's interesting you said that. And this is, I know this is hard. Like, it's, this is where people do so much business. Right? That's why it's so important. And that's why the deafening silence that Sue and I get when we're trying, we've been trying for years to help point out problems and help communicate. And it's, what do we get? Total silence. It's like we've been discarded as this annoyance, right? And it's weird to us because we're like, wow, we really thought we were trying to point out issues and help.
And you are, but I don't know if they're ready for that. I mean, that's the whole thing. This is a touchy thing that you're getting, that's going on here, because it is a problem. And I think that they know about it. I just don't know. I don't even know if they know how to handle it at this point, because there's a lot of venting that's involved when somebody makes a complaint too. Is it true? Is it not? And I think that that's where you probably have to have somebody looking at these complaints all day long and figuring out if they're good or not.
I'm so glad you said that, because I said in my very short intro monologue, I think we're at the point you need a 24/7 fraud hotline, like a telethon where you have rows of people with phones. That's where we're at. And you know what's, I think they can afford it.
Oh, I think, they definitely can afford it.
Yeah, so why don't they do that? Why not?
I mean, they've made some changes at the auctions lately now. I don't know if you've heard about that, but they're changing the hours of the auction. They're making you go in. I mean, I've always said the gate releases and everything, you hand them to them. I mean, it should be backed up with a driver's license, everything, the company's name, because this way that'll stop that from happening too, them stealing cars out of the auctions.
That's good to hear. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of Doge here. Okay. We all now know what Doge is, right?
Yes.
Doge used to be just a silly joke that Elon thought was cool. It was kind of a nerdy thing, and then obviously now everyone knows what Doge is. Here's my Doge for CD. Stop overspending on booths at trade shows that really hardly anybody's going to, because they already know all about you. And take that money and put it into 24/7 fraud hotline, 24 people at a time. And encourage everybody to hit that, well, it doesn't exist, but report theft now button on your mobile app. You have a new mobile app. We all know about it. And I don't know if everyone's using it. Are you using the Central Dispatch mobile app?
No, we don't use it. No, we still use one at the office here. I didn't even know they had one.
Let's cut that laugh and post. That wasn't any good.
I'm sorry.
No, I did it. Listen, I laugh. That's part of what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know why they overspend on booths that people don't go to, but they continue. They're going to keep doing it. They have a podcast, a hit podcast that nobody listens to. It's what is going on? Scammers are freaking loving this. And that's why I'm fired up about it. Scammers, they just keep getting more sophisticated, and here we are in this rope-a-dope.
That's why we got to be careful what we say here, because the problem is we're educating them to the point.
I'm so glad you said that. They know all this.
I know.
They're not watching this show. You know what they're doing? They are. Okay, let's think about it. Let's go into the scammer. What they're doing. They've got steam rooms of people. They have done the 24/7 fraud hotline for bad. And they've got steam rooms full of people that are all they're doing is scouring load boards, setting up fake companies, setting up fake dealer websites, setting up fake brokerages, setting up fake carriers, constantly setting up fake accounts, going in, booking, scamming, calling, getting databases. Think about all of the work they've done for years to figure out how to scam the load board, to scam the shipper, to scam the broker, to scam the carrier, to scam the dealer, to scam the auction.
A lot more advanced than we are.
Oh my God, years and databases and people. That is the war that we're not fighting. And here we are, we're still talking about driver cell phone numbers and driver's licenses. And they're like, cool, yeah. We're going to start working, so it's this show. There no scammers watching this show. Maybe one.
Right.
Script kiddie.
We're hoping that a lot of transporters are watching this, and they're getting something out of it.
If they are watching this show, they are popping champagne bottles because they're killing. And the tech companies that are having webinars and going to trade shows are getting hammered.
Yes.
Wow.
It's like I said, it's something that everybody should be aware of, because it's happening. It's really happening out there, and it can be fixed. There's actually transporters that are out there on social media that are calling out some of these people, saying this is a bad company, this and that, and they're trying to do it on their own so people are aware of what's going on. There's a new company popping up every day, Jay. It's just...
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to give a shout out to Zeb Frank.
Yep, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
And he totally gets ignored too. Right? Have you ever seen one of the companies that he's calling out? Not the people he's calling out. They're not going to say anything. But he is... In his mind, he's legitimately trying to call out bad actors, potential problems. I think his rhetoric gets a little overboard. He probably says the same about me. But what he's doing, he is slamming the alarm bell, right? And I don't see any real response.
Well, apparently it's got to be, because you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, so hopefully other people are seeing it. So it is working. if it's working 100%, I don't know, but that's only a small portion of people he's getting to also.
Well, it makes you wonder. When we look at let's switch hats. When we look at other types of problems in the past, in modern society, in different businesses, at what point, how many people does it take to be screaming there's a problem before something actually happens? We know the FMCSA has been pulled into this. I think the FMCSA is still trying to figure out what their role is in fraud. I mean,
but when we first started doing this, Jay, we didn't have this problem. It was not like this. It's just, I'm going to say since COVID, it's gotten bad. Before that, you posted a car, it got moved, the transporter came in, it was a decent company, and I don't know. We still have. I don't want people to feel that are doing our work that we don't appreciate. There's some good companies that we do work with that will give them a car anytime they call, but it's those other ones that just they walk in. They're gonna know who they are, but they walk in, they show me their phone, and I'm talking to the dispatcher because they can't even speak English. And I'm saying,
so I'm glad you said. I want to say I want to address the English thing.
Yeah.
That seems to be, especially given the current administration, blah, blah, blah. We all know the deal. But the English proficiency thing is a really big deal. And I want to ask, I'm trying to get an honest, that's one of the things I do. I try to get through the noise to the truth. Do English proficiency, like interrogations, that hammer, does that help? Will that help the fraud issue?
But you don't know. You can't communicate with them. So how do you know unless you speak their language if they're telling you the truth or not?
So I'm glad. Okay, so I'm gonna say, because I'm always on the wrong side of the tracks. I feel like the English proficiency demand will not solve the fraud problem. I feel like it's a thinking error. Now, I understand the need for us all to communicate. I definitely agree with that. But I'm not sure if language barrier equals fraud.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the fraud at all.
Right.
I think what it has to do is just being able to communicate with that transporter. That's all.
Right. And so what I wonder is, how do we fix the language barrier issue so that we can continue to do better business? Because it seems to me that a lot of the carriers, they're just, they're not native English speaking guys, right?
Right.
You've got Cubans in Florida, Hispanics in the Southwest, lots of Russian speaking in Chicago and the Northeast, right? I'm not wrong about that. It doesn't mean they're bad. It's just that that's who's driving the trucks.
Right.
And what I just said, Cubans, Hispanics, and Russians, that might be a quarter or a third of truckers? It's a lot, though.
Two of my drivers are Spanish, and
there you go. And they're great.
But they're great. Right? They're great drivers. And
exactly.
They speak English too, so they can, they're bilingual. So we don't have an issue with them.
They're bilingual, right? Well, and to me, I do see her. That's what I could agree. I think that what would be really helpful if we could early on in the process explain. Listen, if English isn't your native language, you need to learn English. One, because you're in America and you want to be able to talk to everybody. And two, it's really kind of important for business. Is that too much to ask?
Well, it's either that or we got to go back to school.
Is it hard to learn English?
Well, I don't know. I speak it every day.
Right? Some Americans would say yes. Well, I mean, I don't think it's that hard of a language to learn. It's not like learning Chinese or Russian. Apparently, those are hard to learn.
Yeah.
Um, but the English proficiency thing seems to be like it's this angle. I think it makes people suspicious. If you can't speak English, then they're suspicious of your ability to do your job, which I don't think is fair,
No.
but it's part of it. And it also, I think it leads people to think if you can't speak the language, well, you're more likely to be a scammer or something. Which
Nah,
again,
we've never looked at it that way. We just know it's a communication problem where we want to communicate with them and make sure that everything's going to be done
yeah.
the way that we want it done.
Well, and I'm really glad we're talking about this because this is one of those things that I think everyone's really scared to talk about the English proficiency thing, and it's being used as a hammer. Oh my gosh. I don't know if the law's in effect or not, but have you read about Arkansas? Like, if you're non-English speaking and you get pulled over in Arkansas, man,
Wow. So
they come after you and your company and your truck. I mean,
I had
I
heard
don't know what's going on, but
I had
it's
heard
an
that they were,
Arkansas bill, I guess.
but the problem is that's once again it goes back to the DOT regulations where you have to speak English, and for so many years it wasn't being done, and I think they're just cracking down on the law. That's all.
Um, I want to ask this: what mobile app do you use a mobile app in your business?
Yeah, ours we use ClearPath.
Okay, right. Okay, that's your TMS,
Yes, yes,
and that's your mobile app.
yes.
Yes. Um, I don't want to get too technological in the weeds, but when you dispatch to Central, did that go through your TMS?
Normally we do it that way, but
Exactly.
we can't get the transporters to download the app and use it, so they don't use it. A lot of them come in. We've seen a lot of people come in and they're using their own mobile app, and we sign off on their mobile app, and then they end up emailing us back their condition report. We don't really like that. We'd rather use our paperwork, but because of the way it's done, you end up back at paper again, and that's obsolete. So,
Well, what's interesting too on that is that with the Central Dispatch lawsuit against Super Dispatch, they again another thing you're not supposed to talk about. They drew a kind of a deeper line in the sand with separation of technology. The technology integration of Auto Transport TMS and Auto Transport mobile app among different companies would have probably been more helpful in maintaining security. What I'm getting at is now, because we can't technologically connect to other companies, otherwise it's a breach, according to
the lawsuit.
thank you. When you get an email because they use a different technology, as you say, you have to rely on their email. And you wish you didn't, but we are now in a auto transport technology minefield, and it's going to be that way for a while.
But so many people that we do work with, the reason why we've all switched over to these apps is because everybody wants real time. But you're not going to see real time.
Right, you can't have real time
Right.
because it could be a legal issue.
Exactly.
How many shippers know that?
They're going to find out.
If you're a scammer, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm not telling any scammer something they don't already know. There's probably an anonymous hacker right now high-fiving another anonymous hacker because they already knew that. They're loving this legal problem. So you've got legal problems with the technology. We don't even know where the FMCSA. I mean, Brian Riker, he's the best. He was always saying, well, the FMCSA is a safety organization or mechanism, right? Yeah. Okay. Is auto transport fraud a safety issue? Theoretically.
I don't know if it's just an auto transport though. It's in every business.
Ah. Right. So who's in charge? There we go. I like to switch verticals. Who's in charge of credit card fraud?
Credit card companies, I would think.
Well, shoot, man.
Right.
Wait a second. If you're dealing with credit card fraud, then you go to the credit card company. Let's talk about what is a credit card company? A credit card company is the technology and people that allow you to move money. You don't call the credit bureau of the United States if you have a credit card fraud issue, do you?
No, it's the same thing with my fuel card. We had a problem with fraud on our credit cards because of these
So
with the card skimmers, and we had to go. We had to go to the
best.
fraud. We had to go to the fraud department.
So, but in auto transport, if you go to the auto transport tech company, they point you to the government.
Well, because
What I'm getting at here is,
because there's
if
no
you have a
department to take care of it.
if you have a credit card, if you have a credit card fraud issue, let's go back to 24/7 fraud hotline. You call them immediately. Do they say, please leave a message? We'll get back to you when we can? No. They answer the phone. They get on the live chat. They want to know as soon as possible. I wonder how big a credit card fraud company department is.
Oh,
You think they have
got to be big.
dozens?
There's got to be dozens of people in that office. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe we can get the name of the supervisor at the credit card fraud department, and we can give that to the other guys on our neck of the woods, and they can take a tour of the facility and learn what that looks like.
you're bringing up something I never even thought about it because there's nobody to protect us out here
Wow.
as
That
auto
was-
transporters.
Whoa.
Think about it. There's nobody who. I mean, you join your associations, but the associations are there just to inform us with information.
Oh man, and this is actually why,
I mean, you would
When
think, like you're going back to what you were talking about before. You
Yeah.
just made a complete circle, but you're going back to the point where if you give a card to Central Dispatch, they should have a fraud department to the point where you can call them and say, "Hey, we have an issue going on here," but they don't.
and let's be clear, do we know that they don't, or are we just assuming they don't?
Just assuming at this point.
We're assuming. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
aren't they?
I know when we've had an issue though, and I think that Sue could vouch for this. You don't get anywhere. Okay,
Whoops,
'cause
we need to
we've all
edit
had-
that laugh.
We've
Yeah.
all had issues, and we've tried to make phone calls or talk to somebody, and they don't get back to you.
And one could argue, okay, well, that's just one instance. That's not the standard.
Right.
But it seems like, I mean, hey, live chat. Does anybody know if we have an auto transport 24/7 hotline on the #1 load board? I don't think we do. I don't think we've ever had that. I think if you leave a message, you send an email, and it goes back to, like I was doing that, you saw the driver rules and guidelines, like send an email, like if you're a shipper and you're shipping, let's say you're a high-end exotic supercar dealer, shipper, and you're not letting stuff go just via email and stuff. There's no way. So the average shipper, let's say you got your average POV customer, and they buy their car on Carvana, and they shop on Amazon, and they book hotels on Priceline, and they're used to all these verified digital situations. So then they go online. Great car shipping. and they get some random
Broker.
auto transport broker.
That's it.
And now they're not dealing with all that other verified digital. They're in whatever land. That's auto transport. Why is auto transport so Cro-Magnon in general on this? What's going on? Is it transportation? I bet waste management is more verified.
Yeah, it's you're throwing me some good questions, and the whole thing was is I see it happen all day long, especially when somebody buys a car from a dealer and stuff. I mean, they'll call us and say, "Look, I called this dealer. They told me you're going to have a transporter come pick it up, but he never showed up." And then they'll call us and say, "Well, can you help me out?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, we can help you out, but you're going to have to cancel that order first, Or will the dealer let you do it?" That's the other thing too. You got to find out, the dealer's contracted with them or what they are, or there's just a lot to the process that has to be done.
We're almost at 1:00. We've really touched upon a lot. This was we got pretty deep in. John, I appreciate how far down the rabbit hole you went with me. I know this is tough because we're in an industry trying to do business, and it's hard to talk about difficult topics while you're inside of a business.
Right.
But it's important, and what bothers me is we're still in marketing land on auto transport fraud webinar media in 2025. You said it. Things have changed a lot in the past 5 years.
Oh yeah.
But not in marketing land. What do you mean in marketing land? You look at trade shows and podcasts and banner ads and just PR and messaging, and it's as if we're still in 2015. None of that's changed. I can't stand watching some of these webinars and podcasts where people are acting like everything's fine. Oh, we hear you and blah blah. It sucks so bad. I can't stand it. It's not true.
No, and I think what everybody has to understand too is this, like we said in the beginning, there's two different parts of this business. There's one where you're doing OEM work, and there's one where you're doing POVs. And the POV business to me is completely different than doing OEM work. OEM work, you get your loads, you pick them up, we take them, we deliver them to dealers, go back, pick up another load. POVs is one car here, one car there, one car. So these guys are out rounding up cars all day long to maybe take from Jersey out to California. There's a lot of steps involved, and I understand why they have to use the load board at that point, because they're just trying to fill the truck out, get as much money as they can on the truck to get out to California. The reason why, I got on today was just to let everybody know, if you're listening, you got to do what you say you're going to do. You say you're going to be there to pick up the car, deliver it when it's supposed to be delivered. If there's a delay, a breakdown or something, just let us know. Let the broker know, the transporter know that there's an issue with that car, because when it's a POV, you're dealing with a person. You're talking, they own this car means a lot to them. And when they don't see their car, they really start to panic. I mean, it's to the point where we try to tell them, look, it's going to be there. The transporter is going to contact you. Then we find out that they don't contact them. Next thing you know, they want to call the police and report the car stolen. There's just a lot to it that people don't understand. When you don't do what you say you're going to do, the consequences are not good.
I'm glad you pointed that out, and I'm glad that you work in POV, because POV moves need people like you that care.
Right.
I mean, when we think about ourselves as individuals and things in our life, we're headed to the grocery store. Let's say there's a car accident. It alters our life. Temporarily, but it does. Everything changes. So when a POV move a car, when they think their car has been stolen or something, it's disruptive. Because they're probably either in a move, on a vacation, something very big is happening.
Or a child's at school sitting there, has no car, they're
That's
wondering where
right.
the car is. I mean, it happens all the time. The snowbirds is the same thing. They're flying out. We pick up their car, tell them it's going to take 5 to 7 days to get there, which we stretch it out just in case something happens. But we get that car, we get it picked up, we take it, they get down to Florida. All of a sudden, they're sitting down there in Florida and they got no car. And they're saying, oh, I got to go rent a car, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's just more than people think it is. These people are very demanding. It's their vehicle. They want it. And when you tell them it's going to be there, it should be there.
So my guess is that somebody at the credit card fraud hotline training center reminds everybody you're dealing with people's lives. This is not just business, whatever, dealer, auction, yacht, helipad. You're dealing with people's lives. And I feel like somebody needs to go to that really tall building and explain, guys, these are people's lives.
Right.
Let's staff up a little.
But I mean, that's the whole thing, Jay. It's something hopefully we can educate or get somebody involved that can do something like that, because I don't know how. I sometimes I don't know how you could solve it. I don't know how you could stop it, because it doesn't. There's nobody to go to when you do have an issue. You have to deal with it in house. And we deal with it in house here. Sometimes the phone calls are tough. Sometimes we hang up the phone on the people. But
oh my gosh.
Your customer service is, very important, and that's what brings back our repeat customers. So we have to make sure it's there. But we got to the point where when somebody calls for a car and stuff, my wife is on top of it. She just makes sure that the insurance is there, make sure that they got enough coverage to cover that vehicle. And we've gotten to the point where, which came from somebody we both know, I've gotten to the point where if they haven't been in business for 2 years now, we're going to say, hey, we can't do business with you. If you're a new entity, we're going to wait. We're going to see. I'd rather take somebody that's been in business that we know has been established for a while and give them the car,
So you just made me think of the image there is, in lieu of an efficient fire department, you have a village of people with buckets. Because the village of people with buckets stand a better chance of putting the fire out than a completely inefficient, disorganized fire department. And that's what we have in auto transport, is families with buckets trying to put out fires because we just don't have an organized fire department. We still don't have it. Will we ever have it?
We try as hard as we can. A lot of companies I deal with, we're doing it the way it's supposed to be done. There's some top-notch companies out there. We might not be the cheapest, but the reason why is because we're trying to do it right. That's all. We're just trying to give good service and make sure that everybody's taken care of. But I don't know. I just don't think in this type of business, with all the automobiles out there and all the transporters out there, I don't know how you can police it. I really don't.
Well, and that's what's interesting. I really think that, oh man, we've gone so long without real I think this is what an industry looks like if you just let it go too long.
Right.
And it's just grab a bucket and do the best you can.
Right.
And I mean, I think a lot of people have just given up hope that it's ever going to be an organized. And here, I'll say this too. If we go so far as it's all super policed and organized, it'll take out some of the joy of the Wild West. But that joy was already killed with ELD.
I was just going to say that. That was,
right?
The day of being a bandit out there is gone.
So if ELD killed the joy, why can't we have safety?
Well,
Or,
safety,
you know, or, I mean, at least legitimacy.
but
Yeah,
wow, you touched on a lot.
we did.
I didn't know we were going to go in this direction, but it's okay.
Oh, I thank you.
You caught me off guard today.
Well, John, I mean, you're a good sport. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. This is
No,
awesome.
it's just that, I just know that there's a business out there. Being in business as long as I have been, it's a good opportunity to get into business. And I think everybody starts out small and eventually goes big. Some people grow faster than I can believe. They go really quick. But it all comes down to how they run their operation and what they're doing. It's just, you just do a good job, people will pull you back. Myself and Joe has always said that you build a relationship with these people. You can trust them. I mean, you make a phone call, can you take care of this car? And they say, yeah, we can take care of this car. I said, thank God, because we know it's taken care of. It's going to be there. It's going to be on time. If there's an issue, they call us, So even Rod, same thing. He did some work with us. He sent me the link for Samsara so I could see where his driver was. I said, what more can you ask for? That's
Wow.
what it's all about,
Yeah. But there's always that one load that you're gonna have to dip a toe in the unknown, and that's when you grit your teeth, right?
Oh yeah, there's no, the way these trucks are nowadays, you can't predict a breakdown, and the breakdowns are happening on car carriers for some reason. When we get a blowout, we get a tire or something. Our tires, the 255s that we find on these trucks, are impossible to get to after hours, so they always got to go find us. It's tough. It's tough on car carriers right now as far as repairs and getting parts. It's not fair, but it's a problem.
And I think the perspective is because, see, so when you're dealers and auctions, because everything's so digital and nationwide, they don't think about all the details of what this could mean in logistics.
Not at all. No,
No.
because they're not witnessing it. They don't see it. They don't understand it.
Right. Which is a whole nother show, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean,
John, thank you so much for your time today. That was amazing. I really appreciate you.
all right, Jay. Anytime. I'm here for you.
All right, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye bye,
All
everybody.
right, see you, buddy. All right, bye-bye. All right, that was really, really an amazing interview. Shout out, John. And thanks for jumping in the live chat. I just have, we talked about the supercars disappearing and all that stuff. I'm not going to go into it, blah, 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 blah. Factories to dealerships, thieves are targeting auto industry cargo. Oh, by the way, I want to talk to Mark. You asked me about auto. Is brokering a good business to get into? So I said no. All right. So, all right, I'm going to start with this. I literally never, I've never thought auto transport brokering is a good business to get into. I've never thought so. And now I know I'm right. And here's why. Now, and by the way, why did I say that before? Because when you're an auto transport broker, again, this is terrible. I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. Who cares? You are telling somebody that you can do a better job, even though they have the exact same tool set you have. I mean, you don't pick up and deliver the car. You just organize it. So why can't the guy sitting next to you organize it to the same level? Now, I know personal touch and customer service and time on the phone, that's going to vary. The way you talk to people. But you can't control the carrier. As a broker, you cannot control what happens on that load. You cannot. It's impossible. Okay, that's fine. Do you know how many brokers there are? According to latest figures, it's like 3,000. You're up against 2,999 other people, groups, buildings that are doing the exact same organization job. Now, I've also said this about like lawyers. How does a lawyer stand out against all other 10 billion other lawyers? I have no idea. The good news for lawyers is that legal cases are highly specialized, individual problems. It's an unending sea of business, and all you need are a few cases. But that's not the case in brokering. Because of the margin, you need a lot of loads. How are you going to get all those loads, low margins, when there's 200,000? You know, the math doesn't add up. Another thing that I don't like about getting into brokering is when I look at the people and programs that sell brokering training, I don't really like that either. There's something weird about it. I feel like I'm buying a sham wow. So those two things alone. Now, you add in AI, oh man. And you add in like demand and cares and fraud. Oh no. No. There's gotta be a better way to make a living. I'd go to law school. Let's see here. Yeah, somebody said, I got this. This was, I mean, they called, please beware. This company has recently had a lot of fraudulent activities. Carrier accounts on this company are being hacked by scammers that are stealing cars under their company name, and blank is not moving fast to help their customers. We had a third vehicle stolen yesterday within the last several months. I mean, people are shouting from the rooftops. What is that doing in there? That's hilarious. You have to put your cell phone number. Yeah, so that's, yeah. Because that's going to, yep, there you go. Here's how we're going to stop the scammers. We're going to, they'll never figure out how to get around this. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? I don't know. Sue's not here. Oh, man, she was so irritated, too. She's on the phone trying to get things fixed. Can't believe I did it again. I did a 75-minute show, and Sue couldn't make it. Well, Sue, we missed you. John Larick, what a great show. John Larick, man, the guy's awesome. Thank you, Brett. See, Brett, you pointed out. I mean, what I said was a little unfair. Not all musicians the same. Listen, you're totally right. But here's the thing. You know, this is where I respond to this too, please. And I mean, you know me. I just like to rough it up. Oh, look at that. Chris donated to the channel. Wow, thanks, Chris. Yes. I haven't done that in forever. All right, let's talk about that, Brett. Here's the problem. You've got buildings of, oh my gosh. Okay, used car week. 5 years ago, I counted the number of high-end, money-tossing auto transport brokers in the expo hall. And it was like a dozen. So if you have a dozen high-end, big money brokerages going to all the trade shows, hosting golf tournaments and dinners and, I mean, you know, give or take, swag that, I mean, really was pointless. You have to compete with them too. And I don't know how you do that. Here's another one. Buying leads. You know, the buying leads business. Oh my gosh. I mean, buying leads is like, me and John didn't even talk about that. So there is something to be said for that. Don always said to me, there's enough business out there for us. There's enough business out there for everybody. To some degree. That's assuming, we're not using like sketchy methods. Because there's sketchy brokers on the number one load board. You know who they are. And they bother you because they are picking up and destroying customers. So you have that. Then you have loads that John said it, his phone's blowing up. It's quite possible that one of the callers is going to destroy that load and that customer. So the pitfalls out there, and I'll say this, Brett, thank God you're out there. Because if I represented the average broker, it's not true. I was a great dispatcher. The reason I'm passionate about this information is because I was a great dispatcher. I really cared. I spent so much time on the phone with people and drivers, dealers, auctions, guard shacks. Oh my gosh, trying to make everything work and do this and follow through that. And I just learned that, it takes so much work just to get one car moved. Why is it so hard? Shippers can't believe what they go through to get their car moved. I mean, how many POV, privately owned vehicle customers, are out there with horror stories about getting their car moved? And it's crazy. Why? Does Priceline, right, get like horror stories after? But I'll tell you what probably did get a lot of horror stories is, Verbo, their ads say, if you want to go on vacation and not live with somebody, get a Verbo. Because they identified the problem that maybe Airbnb had, and that was, fine, you didn't pay as much as you did for the hotel, but you're living with somebody, right? You're renting a room in someone's house. You don't want that. So it seems like, and I think that the number two, I'm always afraid to say company names. It's because that's how bad it is out there. That's why I had the Gangs of New York photo earlier. Is that the number two load board, I think, was trying to do better. And they also found how freaking hard this is. I think they had some of their own internal problems too, but I don't know how far down the rabbit hole I want to get on that. I get a call while you were talking about the auto transfer brokers, but you confirmed what I was thinking. So many people I deal with have been burned by the scummy, terrible brokers. Yeah, the bad brokers are a blessing and a curse because they allow people to really truly appreciate a good broker. And I think, you also get kind of worn out, right? Think about the bodega in Brooklyn owner. Like, he's worn out from people trying to rip him off and all this crap and the shakedowns and the city. You just get jaded, and after a while, you get so jaded that, and I don't know. I don't even know. That's probably the right way to finish this show. You get so jaded that you start to sound like Jay. I really want to thank John Larick. I want to thank everybody in the live chat. And, for everybody tuning in, the views are pretty good. Because ATI, this is real information. This is how real people talk. This is what humanity looks like. I know we don't like humanity anymore. Humanity's not welcome in the automotive industry. Oh, God. It's all about money and bullshit. Oh, my God. That's the automotive industry. So when you get tired of it, watch all past ATI episodes, and you are going to have such a good laugh. You will love it. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.